Okay, hope everyone's well. Just a quick video today, just to say I picked up a Versys 300X Kawasaki for the main reason that people always ask me, you know, well, what about a Kawasaki Versys? They've seen the reviews of the CF Moto 450 or the Himalayan or the KTM 390. And I think certainly from the American audience, you get people asking, well, what about the Versys? I think possibly that's because it's still available in America, whereas here in the UK and in Europe, it was launched in 2017 and it was discontinued late 2019, I think. I don't think it survived into 2020. So it was only on market for 2 years. It was about £5,200, so not particularly cheap, but I guess on par with other things at the time, like a 310 GS, etc. It's a twin cylinder, 40 brake horsepower, 175 claim weight, which does feel very accurate. It's a very light, manageable machine, surprisingly so. I think for the size of it, you think you're getting a full-size bike, but actually the weight is pretty manageable. It feels a little bit lighter than a 310 GS, feels a little bit lighter than a 390 KTM and the Triumph 400X. So I think for anybody looking for a more road-focused adventure bike, it seems to be a great option. I picked this up from a chap called Adam in Birmingham. He fitted a heated seat, heated grips. He's got like a nav screen here and the engine guards. So the engine guards, the pannier frames. It's done 40,000 miles. Cosmetically, it's a little bit tatty, I suppose, in places, a little bit of wheel rot, but mechanically, it feels absolutely sound. It's not insured yet. I've not got it on the insurance, so I can't take it out, but I just wanted to do an introductory video just to say that it's on fleet. It will be part of the bikes that people can ride when they come down here to ride the CF Moto and the 450 Himalayan, etc. So it'll be interesting to see what people make of this Versys and whether actually we should put more focus on it, put more spotlight on it. I think the big shame is that they never did the Versys 400. You know, this is the engine out, the ZXR, the sporty Kawasaki 300, which then got upgraded to the 400, but they didn't follow suit with the Versys version. Whether Kawasaki just didn't want to edge their bets with focusing on smaller capacity adventure bikes, I don't know. But it does seem a real shame, and it's obviously allowed some people like the CF Moto to come in with their own variant, which is doing incredibly well. So yes, it's a shame we never got the Versys 400. I was actually looking for a KLE 500 to compare to the CF Moto, very similar spec for spec, but obviously 25 years apart. I was hoping to compare, you know, the difference or the progress that 25 years has brought us, or lack of progress perhaps. And it was when I spotted this on Facebook Marketplace, and I thought, well, you know what, I'll give it a go. I'm very curious. I did ride one in 2017 when they first came out, and I did like it. I think, you know, the downside of these bikes is that when you first get on it, you wonder where the power is, you wonder where the engine is. It's almost like the clutch has gone and it's permanently slipping because it's got no torque, it's got no flywheel mass, so there's no bite on the throttle. You're straight out of first, straight into second, straight into third. It's a very revvy engine. I think it revs through to 13,000 RPM, which is really high, but apparently very smooth. That's what all the reviews say. So it's a very different engine. It's not got that low down chug, that thump that you might get from a Triumph 400, for example, or the KTM 390. It's very much a top end revving, singing kind of bike. When I rode it back in 2017, I felt it reminded me of a TZR 125R 2-stroke, you know, where it's nothing, 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 then go. It goes at the top end. So it'd be interesting to see what people make of it. Yeah, just want to do a quick intro video, really, just show you around it. Tyres look all right for another 1,000 or so miles. Yeah. ABS, non-switchable ABS, and then it's not got the folding levers or anything. And the foot pegs, they're fixed rubber, so you can't take the rubber out of those, which I think clearly indicates that Kawasaki never intended this bike as in any way an adventure bike or an off-road bike. Maybe gravel track. Obviously it's got the 19-inch front wheel with the spoke tube, but it's tubed again, so that's inconvenient. So there's a lot of elements that maybe didn't tick enough boxes with this bike. That lack of torque, the tube wheels, the lack of off-road sort of credibility straight out the crate. It was certainly, I think, more for people who just wanted a smaller capacity, manageable road tourer. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, just cleaning it up, just giving it a good once over, checking the oil and things, and I'll get out and do a full ride review this coming week when it's on the insurance. All right, cheers, bye. Actually, I should also say it's probably the start of a bit of a series of videos where I look at the older bikes. I think even myself, you get blasé. You think that a £5,000 or £6,000 brand new Triumph or the KTM or the Himalayan or CF Moto is a cheap bike. You know, compared to other bikes, to the motorcycle market, 6,000 is a cheap bike. But for a lot of people's pockets, it's still a lot of money. It's a lot of disposable money on a leisure item, which is what most motorcycles are. And I think with this, you know, I paid 2,199, but equally you could get an F650, you could get a Transalp, you could get all sorts of good second-hand bikes for this sort of money. And I think there's got to be a focus on this, because you don't need to go new bike when there's so many good examples of good older machinery floating around, and certainly on Marketplace you do find some hidden gems. So hopefully what I'll do, I'll clean this up, run it for a few months, sell it on, buy something else to replace it of a similar price, and see what we can find, see what we can unearth, and see how we find buying cheaper bikes and how they compare to newer bikes. Is there any difference? Is there any point spending an extra £4,000? We'll find out. All right, cheers.